Hey guys, welcome back to the Overseers. My name's Proelios and today I'm all alone. Um, Nightwing is indisposed and I didn't want to skip a week of the Overseers because we've done that before, and I think it's just better to have, keep updating you guys every week as far as possible. So I'm still gonna try and share my thoughts. I have no script with me. I'm just gonna try and share my thoughts on firstly, like the previous week of the Summer Showdown qualifiers, and like things like some roster moves and some upcoming matches for this week. All right. So firstly, taking a look at the second week of the Summer Showdown qualifiers, it was once again like quite interesting to see how the dynamics between all of these different teams played out. I think over on the NA region, the competition is quite stiff. We saw the Paris Eternals still maintain a good level of consistency, even though they lost to the San Francisco Shock, who actually lost to the Houston Outlaws. That was a tough one to predict, but yeah, the Shock lost. We also saw the Dallas Fuel looking pretty good. And all in all, the NA region is quite the spots from the NA region, at least for Hawaii, are like up for grabs. I think it's like there are a lot of teams that can get those spots, but I will, more on this towards the end of the video. Over on the APAC region, I think the one clear best team is the Shanghai Dragons, because they just stomped the Seoul Dynasty as well as the Philadelphia Fusion, like they were ants, and that's really impressive because I mean, the Fusion and the Dynasty are not pushovers. They are some of the better teams in the APAC region. And although we knew that the Shanghai Dragons are probably the best ones still, they just kind of dominated and proved their worth once again. So talking a little bit about the roster moves that happened this week. Uh, the first couple are from the NYXL. So firstly, Kalios, who was an off-tank player, joined the NYXL. Now, for those of you that didn't know, Kalios used to be with the Boston Uprising in the first season, and I believe he headed down to contenders after that. Um, like he played for teams like Third Impact, O2 Blast, I think WGS Phoenix. Yeah, WGS Phoenix for sure. And he's looked decent in Tier 2, but I don't know how impactful he's going to be with the NYXL. Uh, but I mean, look, he's promising talent from Tier 2, and he's just been picked up, so there must be something that the coaches saw in him. And honestly, Bianca has been doing quite poorly, so I don't think it's a big ask, like from Kalios to perform better than him. But yeah, still remains to be seen what happens. And the second move they've made is on the coaching front, where they've signed Undine as a coach. Now, Undine or Undine, I don't know how you pronounce that. He used to be a flex support player. He's also Korean, and he used to be with the Element Mystic team. Um, like at least that's the team he is most famous for playing for. And now he's been a coach just for over a year, based on what I checked on Wikipedia earlier, and he has already found a spot in the Overwatch League, which is quite impressive because just 1 year of coaching doesn't usually get you to Tier 1. Usually coaches like Spylo comes to mind. Like Spylo's been grinding in Tier 2 for God knows how long as a coach, but like now he's finally got his chance with the Spitfire. So like as Torbjorn says, hard work pays off, and I'm sure Dean has also worked hard on the spot. So that's quite impressive, and good luck to him and the NYXL. Now moving on to an NA team, which is the Florida Mayhem. They like Albert Ye, who's the GM of the Mayhem, put out a tweet last week saying that the Mayhem have moved Checkmate, who's a flex DPS player, to main tank. Now it was either him or the Florida Mayhem. I don't remember who put out the tweet, but essentially, according to the Mayhem, uh, like the although OG isn't one of the primary, like isn't the only issue with the team, this move should help them do better. Albert also went on to say that Checkmate has been grinding tank on ladder and has been doing surprisingly well, so they think this move is actually for the better. Uh, According to me, it hasn't worked out yet. Like I think Florida in this meta looks like a bottom five team overall across both regions. And I mean, it's obvious, like playing tank on ladder and playing tank in the Overwatch League, there's just a massive chasm in between. You cannot just hope to like put up that same level of performance in tier 1 that you put in your GM rank games, because yeah, it's the Grandmaster, but there's still a whole lot that you have to learn as a tank player in terms of positioning, resource management, team dynamics, which only comes in when you play for a proper team. So, like, at the moment, things are not working out, and I think the Mayhem recognize that and are instead looking to leverage Checkmate's sort of ranked experience, where they kind of allow him to play like he's playing solo queue on ladder. So he ends up like playing in a very gimmicky fashion, kind of like Bumper from the Vancouver Titans from 2019, of course. And he doesn't have the finesse of a traditional main tank player. You can see that he's struggling to, like, he's getting MTD'd almost every time. And I actually hate to say it, but I had mentioned this in our preseason power rankings episode that I had my doubts that OG would be consistent, because he's historically, as Nightwing said, been consistently inconsistent. So this didn't come as a surprise to me that OG had to sit it out, but it did come as a surprise that Checkmate was the best option in their sights. I mean, unfortunate for OG as well, because I know he sometimes struggles with motivation and his mental in general. So I hope he's able to get back on the horse really quick. But this is just a major blow to the team. I just hope they can have something better in place for the Countdown Cup, because there's no way they're qualifying for the Summer Showdown at this point. Alright, let's move on and talk about the Chengdu Hunters. Now, they've recently announced that Elsa, who was their starting off-tank player, has retired from competitive Overwatch. And now, Elsa has been one of the original Hunters. He's been the starting off-tank for the Hunters since 2019, which was their debut season. He wasn't that impressive last year. He was alright in 2019. This year, he was actually looking okay, like decent, but apparently he just wants to stop and take a break. Honestly, I feel he could have burnt out, considering that he almost was never subbed out for Late Young. So I'm not sure. This is just speculation, but anyway, I don't think the Hunters have announced that Late Young's getting promoted to a full-time player from Team Chaser. Like rather than making him play on a two-way contract, but. I have nothing for you. I do feel that they could make a really good pickup though, which is Liga from the Hangzhou Spark. Now, for those of you that don't know, Liga is like a Chinese off-tank player who used to play with Gaga, who's the starting main tank for Chengdu, back in Contenders when they were with Team CC. And Team CC was like the most dominant team in Chinese Contenders for like 2 years straight. And anyway, Hangzhou's wasting Liga's potential on the bench because they keep playing Bernard for some reason. So I think it's going to be a fitting move. They just need to make, like, I think a good salary will just attract him, and maybe, like, I don't know, maybe a trade for money with the Spark would also do. I don't know, but just speaking of money and salaries, let's just address one more interesting topic that has surfaced, which is that the US Department of Justice is actually investigating the Overwatch League. So here's the thing, right? I'm gonna try and just speak about it briefly, because there's a lot of stuff been spoken about regarding this issue, but essentially the Overwatch League has a soft salary cap, which means that the league has told all of its teams individually that the total amount of salary you're allowed to pay your players for a particular year, maybe, or a particular season is $1.6 million. Now, wait, is that total, or I think it's individual player salary. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that. But essentially, there's like a soft salary cap of $1.6 million. which means that they can pay the players up to $1.6 million. They can even go beyond that, but if they do, then for each extra dollar that they spend on the player, they have to give a dollar to the Overwatch League as well. So essentially, if I want to spend, let's say, let's just say 2 million, right? So then you would give if you want to spend 2 million, then you would add what do you say, 0.4 million to the player's salary, and then you would have to give 0.4 million to the Overwatch League as well, which is, I mean, you're literally paying double of the extra amount. So that's like a big ask of the Overwatch League. And what the league does with this money is they distribute it among some of the other Overwatch League teams so that they can have like a higher salary limit. I don't know how they judge whom they give it, like, or they distribute it evenly. But yeah, essentially that's the gist of it. And apparently having a soft salary cap goes against some law in America. So the league is just under investigation for it. But yeah, I don't really have any details for you. I just thought it's something really interesting to address, because like limiting the amount the Overwatch League teams can dole out to their players is kind of disheartening, because that like it prevents some of the uh, what do you say, the richer organizations to like spend extra to get the teams that they like, the players that they want, which is actually exactly what the Overwatch League wants to avoid, because they want everyone to be able to afford players to a similar extent, so that there's like it's more fair, I guess. But the thing is, like the players can't even debate this like with the Overwatch League, because there's no player union like there is for traditional sports like basketball in America. So yeah, we'll just see where things go with this. But I hope I was clear in my explanation as well. Um, yeah. So with regards to the topics and like the roster moves, that's pretty much it. But let me just quickly go over like some of the matches which we are set to watch this week. So I think the best one that's coming up is the Battle for Texas, which is the Dallas Fuel versus the Houston Outlaws match. And this is going to be a rather close one. As you see, I've put a 3-2 win for the Fuel. Like both these teams have been looking quite good in this meta. The Outlaws have been looking incredibly consistent. I think Crimzo is playing some of the best Overwatch of his career. Piggy is also showing all of his skills on Sigma. It's absolutely insane. But you've also got like a star-studded lineup with the Dallas Fuel, where Fearless and Hanbin are this. I mean, Fearless just displayed some immense skill on the Reinhardt and the Winston last week, especially against the Atlanta Reign, where he and Gator had an amazing showdown on Reinhardt. Like, just watch that match if you can, guys. Especially if you like Reinhardt play, because Gator and Fearless were both playing out of their minds. But yeah, Fearless is definitely showing that he's not a Winston one trick. He does have a top tier Reinhardt. And yeah, those two are generally enough to help the Dallas Fuel achieve their goals. So it's going to be a tough one for the Outlaws, but I don't think it's entirely impossible. So maybe this goes 3-2 for the Outlaws, but I'm leaning more towards Dallas. Some other games, close games you're going to see: Gladiators Defiant. This one, I think I've predicted it as 3-2, although it could be 3-1 as well. Because I feel like the Toronto Defiant have shown some promise. I feel like Aspire being like a starting player for them is really great, because he's been playing really well. Not only is he a very competent hit scan player, but his trace is also excellent. So that's a big plus for them. And like his sheer mechanical skill is really surprising. I think he's definitely one of the best Western players, like Western DPS players out there. And the Gladiators, like they do have some good talent, but I think they just need to keep it up, keep up that consistency, and maybe we'll see. Because last week they had a bit of a last week they had a bit of a jittery showing against the Shock as well as the Eternal. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I don't want to get too much into detail about these games. Is there a lot to talk about here as well? I think the Hunters versus Fusion match will be really good. I think both these teams are neck to neck right now. The Fusion, I think that like Alarm is probably their best player at this moment, because the rest of the Fusion aren't like, you know, making plays as like individuals. I think they are more so a cohesive unit. Whereas when it comes to the Chengdu Hunters, I feel like Leave is kind of carrying the team on on his back. Although like the team itself isn't playing poorly, I think Leave is just a class apart. He's like one tier above the rest of his teammates, and he's been looking really impressive. But I think overall the Fusion's teamwork and synergy is enough to trump Leave's carry potential on the Hunters. So I think the Fusion are going to take that match. Yeah, I think that's all for the games that I want to discuss. And let me quickly touch upon whom I think is going to qualify for the Summer Showdown playoffs, essentially, which is going to Hawaii, basically. Like, let's talk about APAC first. And I think the Shanghai Dragons are, like, they're definitely going to be in. There's no way this team gets beaten in the qualifiers. They are clearly the best team, I think, across both regions in this meta. They are mega consistent and ultra dominant, and any superlative that you can use to describe them in a positive way. Like, as for the second place from APAC, I'm not quite sure. There are maybe 3 or 4 teams that could potentially qualify for that spot. The immediate team that comes to mind is the Seoul Dynasty, because they put up some impressive performances. But then again, they have looked inconsistent, especially against the Dragons, whom I thought they would play quite close. We've also got the Hunters and the Fusion, who are looking pretty good, but again, they need to show me more to convince me that they can, like, you know, make it to Hawaii. But like I said, it's up for grabs for almost any team up here. Like, definitely not the LA Valiant, and probably not the Guangzhou Charge, but the rest of the teams can make it for sure. And talking about the NA region, I think there are some interesting choices here as well, because you have teams like the Paris Eternal and the Dallas Fuel, who have looked pretty good, and they've had some really high peaks as well. But they've also not looked like mega consistent. They've both faced their challenges. Then you've got the San Francisco Shock, who's also looked impressive but has been quite inconsistent. And then there are just teams that they don't they are consistent, but their skill level kind of fluctuates a little bit, like the Boston Uprising, Toronto Defiant. But then you also have the Houston Outlaws, who look like a really strong team. So once again, I don't know. If I had to name like 3 teams, I would probably say Paris, Dallas, and Houston. But there's still a lot of competition in this region. Like, you even look at the Gladiators; they have 2 matches this week. We'll see how they go over there. But yeah, I think that's it. As you can see, it's almost 2 a.m. over here. I just had a really busy day, but I didn't want to miss out recording this. And Nightwing's having a rough day as well. Had a rough day as well, so I think he's sleeping it off. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you sticking around for this. I hope it's not too scuffed, but yeah, episode. Leave a like if you like my analyses. Comment down below what you which teams you think will qualify for the Hawaii playoffs for the Summer Showdown. Also, subscribe to the channel for more such videos, and also join my Discord server if you want to connect with more Overwatch League fans, and join us during watch parties and things like that. It's super fun. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye. Have a nice day.